So, if your lights suddenly went out today, or you're just wondering what's going on with the power in your area, well, you've come to the right place. The Electricity Company of Ghana, the ECG, has an official explanation, and we're going to break down everything you need to know.
So what's the deal? Well, the ECG announced planned maintenance for today, Thursday, April 16th. Now, this isn't some random fault or a surprise blackout. It's a scheduled disruption, and it's affecting thousands of people, but for a very specific reason. We've got the full list of areas and the why behind it straight from the source.
All right, so this isn't a nationwide thing. The maintenance is actually really targeted, hitting communities across 4 main regions. That's Central, Accra West, Tema, and Accra East. Let's dive into the specifics so you can see if your community is on the list.
Okay, now for what is probably the most important part of this whole explainer: the who, the where, and the when. On these next few slides, we're going to detail the exact communities and the outage times for each region. So let's find out if your area is affected.
All right, let's kick things off with the central region. If you live here, the scheduled maintenance window is from 9 in the morning all the way through to 4 in the afternoon.
And here we go. These are the specific communities. Take a quick look at the list. We've got everything from Salt Pond, Zongo, and Anamabo to areas right around the Ndoom Stadium. If you see your town there, this is exactly why the power is out.
Next up, let's move over to the Accra West region. Now, the key thing to notice here is that the outage period is a little bit longer. Power is expected to be off from 9 a.m. right up until 5 p.m.
And within Accra West, if you're in places like Dome, CFC Estates, Grabwe Buleman, or Darkuman Kokombe, just to name a few, then yep, your neighborhood is on the maintenance list for today.
Moving on to the Tamara region. The schedule here goes back to the 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. window, just like we saw in the central region.
So, for folks in Tema, we're talking about affected zones like Lashibi, Klagamuden, and Community 19 Annex. If you're in these spots or nearby, you are part of today's planned work.
And last but not least, we've got the Accra East region. Just like Accra West, the outage here is scheduled for that longer duration, running from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening.
For Accra East, the work is really focusing on areas that include parts of Maidzor and around School Junction, plus all those communities right next door to them.
Okay, so we've covered the what, the where, and the when. But let's get to the really crucial question: why? Why is this all happening? Well, this isn't just about fixing something that's broken. It's actually about a proactive, essential upgrade to our entire power system.
You see, this whole thing is a piece of a much bigger initiative. It's called the Transformer Replacement and Upgrade Program. Basically, the ECG is working step by step to make our entire power grid stronger and way more reliable.
And this image gives you a fantastic idea of what's going on behind the scenes. While our lights are off, teams of engineers and technicians are out there physically working on the heavy-duty hardware that powers our country. It's a pretty massive job.
Now, you might see a technical term from the ECG called MVA and think, what on earth is that? Don't worry, it's actually super simple. Think of MVA, or megavolt ampere, as the horsepower of a transformer. The higher the MVA number, the more power it can handle, which means a more stable supply for all of us.
And this right here shows you exactly why they're doing it. Look at that jump. They're taking out the older 2026 MVA transformers and putting in these brand new, much more powerful 3039 MVA units. That is a huge boost in power handling capability, and it's absolutely essential for our growing towns and cities.
So here's the crucial thing to remember. Today's outage isn't just some random, isolated event. It's actually one piece of a much larger strategic puzzle. The goal? To future-proof Ghana's electricity grid.
In fact, you can see the progress right here. Phase 1 of this upgrade program, which was all about the Maidzor substation, is already done and dusted. Today's work is a key part of Phase 2, which is focused on the Lashibi Substation. It just shows you there's a methodical, step-by-step plan in action.
And this is straight from the horse's mouth. The ECG themselves have said that these upgrades are necessary. The end goal is simple: strengthen the whole system and give all of us more reliable service for years to come.
All right, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's boil it all down to the most important takeaways, just so you have everything you need in one quick shot.
Think of this as your cheat sheet for the day. It summarizes the 4 affected regions, some of the key communities, and those specific outage windows. Honestly, if your area is on this list, now would be a really good time to grab a screenshot.
And now for the million-dollar question:
When are the lights coming back on? Well, based on the schedules, power should start being restored between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. And of course, the ECG has apologized for the inconvenience, stressing that it's a necessary step.
So, to wrap it all up, the main message from the ECG is crystal clear. Today's inconvenience is really a trade-off. It's a short-term planned disruption that's a direct investment in the long-term health and stability of Ghana's power grid.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Today is all about power, but it points to a much bigger issue, right? As our towns and cities keep expanding so quickly, this kind of forward thinking is vital. It really makes you wonder, what other essential infrastructure upgrades should be next on our national priority list?